Hello, good morning, and welcome to the morning after, the morning before. It is Morning Brew on Hughes of the World. I'm Graham Hughes. This is the World. How are you all doing this morning? Hope you're all feeling fine and frisky. Anyone stay up last night to watch the footy? The footy last night? England won against all odds. It was an insane match. I know a lot of people who watch this channel aren't really asked about the Round Ball Earth Cup, but yeah, it was really quite something. We'll get into that in a moment. Not too much, obviously, because this is more to do with politics, but there is a bit of politics that have been going on off the pitch, so we need to get into that as well. But before we do, I'm going to say a big hi to Martin Harrow and to Diz and to Elle and to Gwyneth as well and to GM Lovely. I've also got Mr. Tisk in the chat, Blue Badger. Gillian Hope is there as well. Hello, One Hope Vibe Scott, who else? Billy Kershaw. Hello, how are you all doing this morning? If you'd like to join our friends in the friendly chat, all you need to do is hit the friendly subscribe button and wait for approximately 60 of your Earth seconds. And usual rules, if you're going to join the chat, be civil. Just don't be a troll. Don't be nasty. Don't be mean. Don't call people names. You don't all have to have the same opinion. That's fine. So, opening headlines tonight. So Trump has intervened over a red card for Bagalon. This guy called Folarin Bagalon, who he got a red card in a match, which means that you're suspended from the next match. Can't play if you get a red card. It's a punishment. You get sent off from the match that you're in, and as a disincentive to do that kind of silly thing again, you get told that you're not allowed to go and play the next match. And Trump's had that overturned. England beat Mexico, spoilers, 3-2 at the Aztec Stadium, despite going down to 10 men. And despite I lost the number of attempts on goal by Mexico, it was just insane. So kudos to Jordan Pickford, the goalie there. Russia has hit Kyiv with another large missile and drone attack ahead of the NATO summit. They hit last night. Trump is due to meet Volodymyr Zelensky and Erdogan and Syria's Ahmed al-Sharaa in Turkey. Millions have joined funeral events over the weekend for Ali Khamenei as Iran's new leadership remains still out of view, and China has test-fired a missile into the Pacific hours after Australia and Fiji signed a defence alliance pact. The UK government is tightening rules on overseas linked political donations. Hurrah. Sky has entered a £1.6 billion deal to buy ITV. It's broadcasting and streaming arm. And Sara Duterte's, this is the daughter of Robert Duterte, who is the leader. She's currently the vice president of the Philippines. She's currently undergoing a trial for corruption. A plunder charge. I think it's a plunder charge. That's what. It's not corruption. It's plunder. She's been done for plunder. She's like, I didn't even know that was a thing anymore. Since we don't have pirates or Vikings. Although Norway also won last night in an astounding match against Brazil. They won 2-0. And 2-1. Sorry, Brazil got one back, but it was too little, too late. And it set up a quarter final between England and Haaland, who is the centre forward for the Norwegian team, who likes to lead the people in the crowd in this rowing exercise where he pretends that they all row like Viking. It's kind of like a Viking haka, I guess, but they sit on the floor while they do it, which is a bit. Farage is playing the victim, claiming the establishment is out to destroy him. Yeah, Chris, he said yesterday. I don't want to dwell on that too much because we did talk about it a lot yesterday, but he said that it's an establishment plot. Robert Jenrick went on TV yesterday to claim that it was the Labour supporting Sunday Times. It's an oxymoron for the ages. The Labour supporting. Are you kidding me? What are you even talking about right now? Anyway, I realise you can't see the time. Well, I couldn't see the time. That's why. That's my excuse for being late. I'm sticking to it. There you go. That's all right. You see the time now. He's looking at suing for defamation. What is that? Because Nigel Farage is deformed and he looks like a frog. It's a bit like at the end of the Meatloaf video, isn't it? For "I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that," where she kisses the monster and he turns into Meatloaf. It's an old Mary Whitehouse experience joke about that. It's like, should we do that again? Anyway, so so let's talk about Florin Balogun, who was sent off during the USA's 2-1 win over Bosnia and Herzegovina. He'd already scored in that match. It was the third goal, his third goal of the tournament. The red card came after a VAR review challenge. He's he was done for it quite fairly. I mean, it's a bit unfair that you get done on the old VAR, but happens to everyone. Whatever. FIFA has decided after having a little chat with Donald Trump. They had a little chat on the phone to Donald Trump, and they decided not to rescind the red card because afterwards they thought, oh no, that's a bit out of order. So the red card still stands for the foul that he committed, but it's suspended the ban for the next match that I mentioned earlier. So you get a red card, you get a 1 match ban, right? They suspended that for a year. Graham is on. I should probably go back to bed, says Josh. Jeez. Oh, thanks, Josh. This means that he has now Balogun is now cleared to play against Belgium in the last 16, which is ridiculous. Belgium have been set up to not, they've been working out strategy, how to win, how to beat the Yanks, and they would have formulated strategies based on the team that was likely to play, and knowing that this fellow wasn't going to be playing. Do you know what I mean? They would have set things up a bit differently. Do you not think? So the match takes place tomorrow. Well, actually, no, it's tonight. It's tonight at 1:00 in the morning, our time. So it's tomorrow technically for us, but it's the same day as today. So yeah, I don't think anyone's going to stay up and watch it, but I think the whole world's going to be joining together to wish Belgium well. I think that's ever happened before in the history of the world. Someone put on Twitter, not on Twitter, on Threads or something. They said, name me one thing that Belgium does better than America. And so the response was just like, they make chocolate that doesn't taste of puke. Literally. FIFA fillets felon. Very good. You're in effect, Nom. Thank you very much for the first super chat of the week. That reminds me, I should really set things up for super chats, super chattage, in order to release the confetti cannon. So let me just get the confetti cannon ready to go, because we know that Diz loves her confetti. Almost as much as we all love Diz, because Diz is the best. Thank you, Diz. Okay, so this is absolutely maddening. Oh look. Oh, I was going to talk about that. Doesn't matter. Trump personally called Gianni Infantino, who's the head of FIFA, to review the sending off. And Trump later thanked FIFA for reversing what he called a great injustice. And the USA coach welcomed the decision. Belgium's Football Association said it was astonished. It's looking at possible options. And the Belgian coach, Rudy Garcia, said he didn't know that the 5th of July had become April Fool's Day at the World Cup. And this is not a normal appeal outcome. Normally when they appeal a ban for a football match, the card will either be lifted or there'll be some other sort of punitive measure put into place. So, for instance, coming up into 2012, I think into the Euros in 2012, Wayne Rooney was given a 3-match suspension because of a particularly awful thing he did. And he was, after appeal, that he was still banned for 2 matches, but the 3rd match he was allowed to not be banned from it if he went and did, I don't know, played football against some kids in Switzerland or something. Do you know what I mean? It was like, you don't get the 3 points on your license if you've not been done before and you're under 20% over the speed limit and etc. So you get to do what's it called? And speed awareness. He was put on a speed awareness. He's put on a foul awareness course over in Switzerland. So he got the 3rd match. He could actually play in the 3rd match, which meant he only missed the first of the 2 group games, but didn't miss the last one. So something like that has been done before, but never has it ever been suspended for a year after a phone call from the president of the country. Absolutely mind blowing, and it's sad actually because it's this is Trump has to overshadow fucking everything that anything that's good, anything that is bringing people together. This kind of overshadows England's win last night a little bit. Well, this morning I didn't get to bed till 5. This is one of the reasons why I started a bit late today, and I am a little bit croaky. I may have been jumping up and down the couch and screaming. Graham, please pin the link. Oh yes, good law petition. I will do that. 1 second, my dear friend L. Pin message. And what I'll do as well, get rid of the UTM source. Don't want that. I will. It's been asked to do this. I go into the live. Sorry if things mess up now because sometimes it does when I go into the streaming screen on my desktop browser because it doesn't like me. I don't like you. I'm gonna put it in here. There you go. Cool. Okay. Cool. Right, that's in there now. So it should appear in the chat if you, not the chat, the thing. Yeah. Cool. Anyway, what have we got here? Footballers need to watch rugby and stop being babies, pagan. What? Are you talking about people falling over and going, I'm dying, and then getting up 5 seconds later? Hey, it happens a lot. Henderson last night, they were celebrating after winning. And he wasn't even playing. He was one of the subs. He was on the bench for the whole match. And then at the end of it, he got up and fell off. I think he fell off like the advertising hoarding or something. That goes around the edge of the mat of the pitch, and he spanged his arm and had to be stretchered off and given oxygen. It's like what? Was Kane captain? Yes, Captain Kane. He was indeed. He was taken off at one point because he got a yellow card, and he was taken off so that if you got a second yellow card, which you could get for like pretty much anything these days, that would translate into a red card, and that would mean he can't play in the next match. So just to stop that happening, but it was squeaky bum time. Jude Bellingham scored twice in quick succession, which is just phenomenal. It was within 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, he scored 2 goals against Mexico. And even if you're not into football, like that place is a fortress. The Azteca Stadium, famously 2,000 meters above sea level. A lot of teams that go there suffer from altitude sickness. The last time that 2 goals were scored in that stadium, I think was against Mexico, was I think in 1986 in the Mexican World Cup. Someone needs to quote me on that, but I think that was the last time anyone scored 2 goals against Mexico, and it was Diego Maradona. I think, or maybe it was 2 goals against England in the same stadium, because that's 1986. The World Cup was held in Mexico, and that's been held in Mexico and USA and and Canada, the muck countries or the cum countries, Canada, USA, and Mexico. Rugby players could have Yahis their arms ripped off and they will continue the match. Tis but a scratch mentality, says Chris. Yes, it's a thing they like to brag about before going out in the night time and buying snake bites and pouring it over their heads. Draney says, if rugby had millions of quid on the line and they got massively abused by everyone for not winning, there'll be a lot more gamesmanship. If rugby had, what do you think rugby would have more gamesmanship? I mean, I think when we talk about the salary of football players, it fucks me off. It really does, because a lot of football players are working class kids who've got an incredible talent and literally generate billions for the economy, billions with a B. So if they get paid £70 million a week, I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, fine. Do you know what I mean? The club thinks they're worth it. Fine. Give them that much money. We never ever talk about all the CEOs, all these oil men, all the tobacco barons, the people within defense companies, where they defense war companies, war profiteering, the drug dealers of the world. Like, they make an absolute bloody fortune. They make a killing. Crypto bros and the posh bastards like Posh George and Christopher Harborn. People you go, well, do they deserve to earn that kind of money? No, they fucking don't. They don't entertain anyone except themselves with their sadistic delights. So no, I don't have a problem with footballers getting paid too much. And for the whole thing of like rolling around on the ground to get a penalty, I mean, it's kind of less of a thing now because we've got VAR, which is video assisted refereeing. So essentially, they can't get round the ref as easily as they used to be able to. The ref wasn't in their line of sight or whatever. The footballers used to get away with absolute murder. And if anyone watched the Paraguay match the other day, which, I mean, Paraguay against France, and it started off and I thought, oh, well, Paraguay, the plucky underdog. But within like 10, 15 minutes of the match, they were so horrible. Like, they were just fouling everyone. They were putting their hands in people's faces and dragging their shirts and all kinds. And it was just like, this isn't the way to win the game. This isn't the way to win the game. So I'm a little less arsed about that. And I do understand that if you're getting paid a lot of money, you don't want to injure yourself, really. And so that's an issue with sort of the England team that, you can say, oh, well, they don't want to upset their club career by breaking their leg, actually going in for, going full pelt for a goal. But at the same time, it's not like clubs that, countries that have players that don't earn that much because, they're developing nations or whatever. It's not like that they're winning the World Cup every time because they got more spirit. So yeah. Just Hannah agreed, Graham, earning lots of money suddenly becomes a problem when it's working class and often foreign people doing it, and it's not like they're in the public sector. Yeah, Just Hannah, I couldn't agree more. I think there's a lot of snobbery. I think there's some racism in there as well. I agree. Do you know who else we get in trouble for getting rich? Like people on what are they called? Like reality TV shows. You see working class people who do well out of reality shows. There's always a problem with that. There's always a problem. There's always things in the news. Oh, this person doesn't deserve the money they've got. But when it's a posh person like Ben Fogle, who becomes famous from going on Big Brother, who went to private school and was always loaded, and that's no problem. That's no problem. So yeah, TV license can die in a fire. I have no interest in watching bloody tennis, says Andy. Yeah, but people do, and it's you don't have to watch it, Andy. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to watch it. But I hope one of the things that Andy Burnham does when he becomes Prime Minister in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks today, one of the things I hope that he does is change things at the BBC so that it's truly independent. Because the Tories, especially Boris Johnson, he put a lot of his cronies in the BBC. And we see this in the BBC editorial stance, which is, not great. So yeah, and also make it proper independent of government. Stop having this thing where the government decide how much money it gets and how much money it can set for the license fee. But all of the right wing, they want to privatise the BBC. that would be the absolute crowning achievement. Well, that and the NHS, they're the things that they want to be able to get their claws into, and then they can make the BBC as political as fuck. You want to think about what the private sector has done to X, Twitter. Well, not the private sector, but Elon Musk in particular, what he's done to that platform, and privatizing the BBC, making it so that it's a model where you can subscribe if you like, and you don't have to if you don't want to. Putting adverts on it and stuff. I don't want to see. I really, really don't want to see that. I don't care whether you want to watch it or not. Fine, don't get a license fee. Don't have a television, but that's up to you. But I have no problem with the TV license. To be honest with you, it's £10 a month. Well, it's a bit more than that now, but it's fine. It's fine. BBC, read the BBC license. You don't know what you've got till it's gone, says John H. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, we often sort of judge the whole of the BBC on the editorial output of BBC News, or the BBC politics department of BBC News, and they have been infiltrated by Tories. So I hope Burnham can clean out the shop there and essentially make it so that if you have had any major political leanings, you shouldn't be involved in the public broadcaster like the BBC. You're allowed a TV. Yeah, well, you shouldn't be. Nothing on the BBC worth watching anymore, says Andy. There is, though. There's loads of things on the BBC that are still worth watching. There's lots of dramas, there's lots of natural history stuff that isn't available elsewhere. Why do you think that the BBC, like natural history department, is just so world renowned, and why you travel all the way around the world, you will see David Attenborough documentaries? Because other countries can't make them. America just cannot make nature documentaries because it costs too much and there's no advertising in it, so they think, oh, fuck it. The TV license is the best we have. It could be reformed rather than removed. Yeah, it's necessary, but I don't know. The program quality of the BBC recently has been shocking. I don't agree. I think it's been putting out some good stuff. I don't know. Your mileage may vary, but also when we talk about the tennis, the British Grand Prix, the World Cup, the FA Cup, these are things that there is a government law rule in that says it has to be free to air on the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, whatever. It has to be free to air. They can't charge for you to watch it. And all the money people, FIFA, would love to put that stuff behind the paywall. Of course they would, which means that fewer people get to enjoy this stuff. So yeah, I think maybe there's a somewhere we can meet in the middle on this, but I certainly do not want us to get rid of the BBC. Like I've got good friends of mine who, like myself, have been personally stung by the BBC, by some of the shit they pull. All right. And so if anyone had a good excuse to go, oh, fuck these guys, it will be me and a few friends of mine, a couple of which have been very publicly done over by the BBC. But none of us think that we should be getting rid of it. The BBC is a great British institution, along with the NHS. The BBC budget has been slashed because people won't buy a TV license, says John. I thought the BBC budget has been slashed because of Tory cuts. Cuts with an N. Last night when we were watching the match, me and Ben, I think he's sleeping in the other room. We were watching the match, and it came up like halfway through the match with a QR code to get yourself a TV license. And Ben's like, but that's admitting that you watched the first half without a TV license. Which I thought was quite funny. BBC is one of the best sources in America these days. Yeah, Josh sees. I completely agree. Its coverage is good. When it's like the girl with the curl. When it's good, it's very good. When it's bad, it's horrible. But yeah. So yeah, just to go back to the footy for a moment, and then we'll talk about this Palestine action ban, which I want to discuss. So the match last night, it was an absolute nail biter. It really was. The Mexico absolutely dominated the second half, had attempt after attempt at hitting the goal. It got a bit insane. It got a bit mad. It got a bit, just again, my heart was in my mouth. It was just the last 11 minutes of stoppage time, which is ridiculous. So yeah, Jarell Quansat was sent off in the second half as British English player. Harry Kane scored England's third goal from a penalty spot, which was given to him on VAR, and then Mexico scored another goal after VAR review of a penalty, and then the England for the last half of the match were defending the defending their goal with 10 men, and it was just relentless. It was absolutely relentless, and but I suppose this is a clean. The reason why I'm talking about it is not just because it was quite exciting for people who like the round ball World Cup stuff, but England had a player sent off and had to survive, had to do the best they can, and USA had a player sent off and got a presidential fucking pardon before the match. Before they I mean, the thing is as well, with this red card rule, it's not like in the next match the USA would have to play with 10 men. They wouldn't. They'd play with 11 men. It's just that particular striker couldn't play. And he's like their star striker, and that's why the levers were pulled. And so, yeah, 1 o'clock tonight, Belgium, come on, Belgium. I never thought I'd say those words, but come on, Belgium, you bastards. It was red card, says says Fantasy. Did I say it was a yellow card? Did I say it was a blue card? It was red card. Yes. BBC can die. Too many wrong uns. The only thing worth watching was snooker, but don't watch that now either since they banned trans. Says Mystique. I mean, again, like I don't want the BBC to die. Like in the same way, I don't want all the NHS to die. I might not be using the NHS at the moment. I know loads of people have bad experience on the NHS. Really, really, really bad experiences on the NHS. I know some people have had really good experiences on the NHS. I know that some NHS trusts are absolute fucking arseholes, and some of them are pretty good. But I don't think we should get rid of the NHS. Just because I'm not ill today, or because I haven't had a good experience necessarily. Well, I have, but other people I know haven't. I don't think we should get rid of the NHS. We can make it better. But I think we need to stop being so absolutist about this, because if we destroy things that are actually okay in this country because they're not perfect, and don't get me wrong, the BBC is not perfect by a million miles, but I mean, I just think it's something where we don't say, oh, we should get rid of Parliament, because of these crooked MPs, and because Nigel Farage is an MP and he's a crook, so we should get rid of Parliament. We've had all these different prime ministers, so we should get rid of Parliament. Parliament's not particularly demographically representative, because we don't have proportional representation, so we should get rid of Parliament. And no one says we should get rid of Parliament. So we should make it better. They should make, observe the shit that's going on and improve it. Same with the NHS. Observe the shit. Same with the trains. Like, the mentality in the 1980s was like, oh, well, the trains are shit, so let's just privatize them and get rid of them because they're shit. And they were shit because they were being wound down by successive Tory MPs, successive Tory governments that wanted to privatize them. Wanted to rip them up so they weren't particularly effective competition for the roads that were being built by, I don't know, Tory Secretary of State for Transport at the time in the 60s. And, they wanted to, whatever was left, they wanted to privatise it so they could give money to their mates and then get a job on the board of that privatised firm, afterwards, after they get out of Parliament. Yeah. Blah, blah, CW snooker. I'd rather do a dissertation on the complete Dulux colour catalogue. Yeah, but people like it. I got really into snooker when I was doing my finals at university. I don't know why. It was ADHD, just procrastination. I should be revising. I'll put the snookers on. But there's a vast array of stuff on the BBC. It's not like it shows the same stuff all the time. But it is, it's the home of Mrs. Brown's Boys, which is an awful, awful show. And anything that shows that should, by rights, be nuked from orbit, as far as I'm concerned. But I've got to relent. I've got to be reasonable here and go, well, just because I don't like it, just because I fucking hate fucking Minions and find them about as funny as Finding a Lump. I don't think there shouldn't be Minions movies or Despicable Me movies just because I find them irritating little shits. I don't think there shouldn't be Twilight movies. Some people really like them, even though they're shite. I think they're shite, but that's fine, But yeah, can we talk a little bit, move on a little bit? We're going to talk about the UK protest row after this Palestine action ban. So the current flashpoint is the prescription of Palestine action under terrorism legislation. Supporting a prescribed organisation can carry serious criminal penalties. Campaigners are deliberately testing the boundary between protest free expression and the terrorism law. Reverend Sue Parfitt and 13 others were arrested after inviting police to arrest them over signs supporting Palestine action. The campaign group Defend Our Juries is organising civil disobedience around the issue. The strategy is to push these cases towards jury trials. Meanwhile, the dispute is about whether a protest linked to property damage should be treated under terrorism law. And the wider point here is that this isn't about one group, it's about how far the state can go in criminalising support, speech, and protest. And I think that prescribing Palestine action for the actions of some of the people in Palestine action is first of all, it's not a good look. Let's just be straight about this. It's not a good look for the Labour government. But also, there is a fundamental unfairness that unionist racists in Northern Ireland went out a few weeks ago and burnt out buses, burnt out cars, burned down people's homes. And that should be done for terrorism. They were going out and trying to terrorise people in their community for not being white. Now, if they'd done that, a rampage against Catholics in Belfast, I mean, I'm pretty sure that would have been an act of terrorism. I think it is an act of terrorism. And I think that Tommy 10 names this little band of bastards who tried to burn down a hotel with asylum seekers in, women and children in the hotel. They tried to burn it down. I think that should be a prescribed organisation. So you've either got to be consistent across the board, or don't do daft shit like this. And the government last year were like, well, we've got this evidence on Palestine action to say they're terrorists, we've got this act. And then when the evidence came out, I mean, it was horrific. There was a Palestine action protest, activist, when they broke into that defence firm, who hit a female male, hitting a female police officer, causing grievous bodily harm to a female police officer. It was horrific. There's footage of it. And although I don't think that's necessarily terrorism, I don't think it's terrorism. That's my only opinion on it. But the Labour government making a big thing about arresting people for holding signs saying, I support Palestine action. And there's another discussion to be had here about how much help all this has done for the people of Palestine, which I think is fucking zero, right? All this money, this time, this effort, getting arrested, the cost of that, getting seen in the courts when the courts are all backed up, the cost of that. How is this helping people in Palestine? And I've got to say this, okay? And I don't want to upset people in the chat because I know people feel very, very passionately about this. So I'm speaking to the people who feel very passionately about what is happening in Gaza, the genocide that is happening in Gaza. I say this with love, right? From my experience, if you want to get people to stop eating meat, the worst thing you can possibly do is show them pictures of tortured animals. And I know there's going to be someone in the chat who's now going to say, I saw a picture of a tortured animal and that's what stopped me from eating meat. I'm sure for a small minority of people it works. But for the vast majority of people who see that, they just block, defriend, skip over it. It has the opposite effect in many cases. And I think that this kind of protest, which I don't think, to be very clear, should be prosecuted under the Terrorism Act. I think this is fucking ridiculous, absolutely stupid. I would not go down this route if I was the government, okay? I am the law. So just imagine I'm Judge Dredd and I'm in charge of the fucking government, whatever. I would not do this. I would not be arresting grannies for holding a fucking sign. Jesus Christ, I wouldn't be doing that. But that people getting themselves arrested for supporting Palestine action, is not helping the people of Palestine. And the people going nuts about that happening are not helping the people of Palestine. They're going nuts about what's happening in Palestine is helping the people in Palestine because it's bringing attention to what's happening. But also, at the same time, going to the extreme and making everything that we talk about what's going on in Gaza. And this happens to me. Like, I get these messages all the fucking time going, why don't you ever talk about bloody Palestine? And I'm like, I do. I just don't talk about it every second of every day because there's other shit going on in the world. And I'm sorry, that there is other shit going on in the world that I want to talk about. But there's, even so far as when I did a trip to Ukraine a couple of years ago to drop off presents for the kids in Kharkiv, orphans in Kharkiv. We filled up a van full of Lego. We spent thousands of pounds on Lego, and we drove it from Germany to Ukraine. And I had someone saying, why aren't you doing anything for the children of Gaza? And I was like, you know what? After driving for 3 fucking days, and it was in the middle of winter because it was Christmas presents, it was fucking ice and shit. I was just like, I'm not really in the mood for this, and it really got my back up because I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I can't drive to Gaza. I can drive to Ukraine. It's not that far. It's just a couple of days across the continent. It's fine. I can do it. Across Germany, across Poland, I'm in there. It's cool. There's motorways all the way. How the fuck am I supposed to get into Gaza? How am I supposed to drive there? What, you want me to get in the car and drive through? Let's have a look at this. Drive through all of Europe into Turkey, and then you want me to drive through what? Syria? You want me to drive through Syria? And then where am I going to get? How am I going to get to the Gaza Strip? Am I going to go through, I don't know, Jordan and then into Egypt, and then do a U-turn and then go up into Gaza across the crossing there? How? The crossing was closed. And another thing, I was taking Christmas presents, and God love the kids in fucking Gaza, but they don't celebrate Christmas, mate. And what good would it do? This wasn't a country that needed fucking rebuilding. This wasn't a country that needed, in the case of Ukraine, it didn't need urgent medical supplies. It didn't need fucking food. It didn't need clean water. It didn't need accommodation. Obviously, we were trying to do a nice thing for the kids because they're in the fucking war zone, and the Kharkiv's right on the fucking front line, to be clear. They're getting bombed all the fucking time. But, like, if you want to support Gaza, fine. Do something in this country that raises money that goes over to fucking Gaza and helps the kids in Gaza. Stand them with a sign. It seems performative. If you know you're going to get arrested for doing that, why don't you do something that inspires people to give you fucking money? And then money, which makes the world go round, can be given to charities that are working in Gaza to alleviate the suffering. I don't moan about other charities existing at the same time or other people trying to do nice things at the same time. Oh, celebrating your birthday, are you? While there's people having an awful time in Gaza. Yeah, I get it. I really do. I understand that this is the thing that you are more passionate about than anything else on the planet. But you can't go around screaming in people's faces that they shall feel bad all the time because they're watching the footy, they're doing something they enjoy, or the heaven forfend, they're taking some presents to some kids in Ukraine. Jesus Christ. Why aren't you helping the kids of Gaza, you fucking cunt? Unbelievable. So yeah, I do feel like, and this is where I'm trying to be nice, I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I possibly can for someone who loves dropping the C-bomb. But I think that a lot of the things that people do in this country, which they claim to be into the support of the Palestinian people of Gaza and the West Bank, I think it is counterproductive. And I think it turns people off. As in, they just turn away from it. They just go, I can't deal with this. It's too much. And we really need to address the fact that we do that and work out ways that we can make a difference without wasting our time or using the suffering of the people in Gaza for self-aggrandizement or something. I don't know. For who can care the most. Look at me, I care the most. I'm getting arrested. Are you actually doing something? Are you raising money to actually help people in Gaza? And you could just, and you don't have to have like a bloody thing that's all miserable and serious. You could have fun with it. They have fun with bloody comic relief. Let me finish on this one. Don't jump in and go, what the fuck, Graham? But comic relief was set up to help kids in Africa. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, we need to have ways. We look at Live Aid. Look, I know we can talk about the fallout from Live Aid and the fact that famine in the first place was caused by a war between uh, you know, Ethiopian, the breakaway republic of Eritrea. But the the idea was to get people behind something, to get people energized, and millions of pounds that wouldn't have otherwise gone to Ethiopia went over to Ethiopia. People dug deep into their pockets. Bob Geldof on the TV, give me your fucking money. Do you know what I mean? Like people did. I'm not saying you have to do something exactly the same as Comic Relief or Live Aid or something, but something along those lines would be a lot more effective in alleviating the suffering of the women and children and the men of Gaza right now than holding a fucking sign, which means you're going to get arrested. So yeah, that's my take on it. I'm sorry if I lose some subscribers for saying that, but as much as I'd love to help the people of everywhere in the world, Sudan, Eritrea, Burma, the people, the Hindu Muslims in Burma, the Muslims up in the northwest in the Xinjiang province of China. There's so many people around the world who are not having a great time with it right now. And I'd love to help them all. I really, really would. And we should do everything we can. And it's fine to have one particular cause that you feel very strongly about, whether it's freeing West Papua from the Indonesian invasion of 1975, or whether it's helping people out from deforestation in Brazil, or whatever it is. It's fine to have a cause. It is absolutely fine, and it doesn't take away from your care of other people who are having a shit time of it. There's 8 billion people on the planet. We can have our own priorities, and just because someone else's priorities don't exactly align with yours, well, of course they won't. They're a different person. Doesn't mean them a bad person. Doesn't mean that you should give them a kicking for them trying to do a good thing. And just on the Palestine side of things, I feel like the charity aspect is huge there. I mean, the people in Palestine are living in shoddily rebuilt accommodation that they've little houses that they've built out of the rubble that was left behind from what the Israelis have done. Proper fucking tabula rasa. They've just destroyed everything, razed entire cities to the ground. The footage, the pictures coming out of there are awful. And if anything, we should be making it so people want to give money. We should be pushing our own government. Our own government should be pushing the fucking Saudis and the Kuwaitis and the Qataris and the Bahrainis and the Emiratis to give some fucking money. They've got enough. Saudi keeps spending its money on bullshit like the line, Neom, something like that, whatever it's called. The line, and then they just never got anywhere. A few people died down there, didn't they? They killed a few people because they were in the way of the line they were going to build. They were going to build this line that ran for miles and miles and miles. It was just a shit idea. Peter Miller, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. It's very kind of you. Getting rid of the BBC would absolutely delight Rupert Murdoch, GB News, and a whole lot of fascist news outlets. Yeah, and that's why I don't want to get rid of it. But they fucking hate it. So yeah, the thing is, if a Labour politician didn't stand up and be pro-Israel, the media would lay into them, call them anti-Semitic. Well, I mean, I think Labour I as I said, I disagree with them prescribing Palestine action on the basis of the evidence that I've seen that's been come out in the court case and things. I mean, it's up to the government who they decide to prescribe as a terrorist organisation, but I don't think it passes muster. But yeah, at the same time, this Labour government have put sanctions on Israel. They have. I mean, not enough, but they have put some on there. They've recognised the state of Palestine, much to Trump and Netanyahu's chagrin. As I always said, there's no need to get rid of the BBC. Just make it subscription-based and people can choose. No, Michael, that's the problem. If we do that, then it'll go private. It'll go private unless it gets subsidised by taxpayers' money. Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe just take it out of tax. Maybe just pay the BBC out of tax, but then you don't have the independence and each successive government. What if Nigel Farage gets in and says, right, we're going to do away with the tax here with that we're giving to the BBC? I don't want to go to a subscriber-based model for that very reason, because it just opens the door to privatization. Anyway, but yeah, when it comes to criminalising support speech and protest, I think Labour have not done themselves any favours, allowing things like the Tommy Ten Names riots and the Farage riots to happen, not rounding up the ringleaders like Tommy Ten Names and Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe, not rounding them up and throwing them in fucking jail, but then arresting a granny for holding a sign. We had Farage going and making a video where he was standing in a field, a nondescript field, because he didn't want anyone to know where he was, because he's hiding from the media, hiding from media scrutiny. And he says, I want everyone to feel white hot rage about what happened to this kid who got stabbed by a Sikh kid. And, that we should all go out and riot, essentially. That was the dog whistle there. And then they allowed him to do that. They allowed him to say that, but they won't allow someone to wave a sign about. I mean, yeah. Rule 1, you can't save them all. Yeah. Thanks, One Angry Pagan. Someone on Vegan Elite stream a few days ago cussed me out for not thinking Gaza was the only issue. Yawn. It's not even the current genocide, says person impersonator. I know. Look, it is important. Don't get me wrong. It is really important what's going on. But there is other shit going on at this moment. And it's like... I think there's something quite infantile about this absolute myopic focus on this one conflict when there's other conflicts going on in the world. This isn't about whataboutism. It just reminds me a bit of in the 1980s, being a kid, not wanting to finish my school lunch, and the dinner ladies saying to me, lunch ladies saying to me, you should finish that because just think about the kids in Ethiopia who've got no food. And it's like, okay, I'm going to give myself a stomach ache by eating too much because that's going to help the kids in Ethiopia. How? If you all sit down and be sensible about how can we actually help people in Gaza, the biggest thing we could possibly do is encourage people in Israel to not vote for Netanyahu. But unfortunately, the way that most people react is like, oh, fuck Israel, it shouldn't exist. And that pushes people who live in Israel to go, what the fuck? It becomes an existential question then, doesn't it? And when people feel like their country is being threatened in that way into the realms of non-existence, they will, and we do this in this country, and they do it in America, they do it everywhere around the world, they reach for the authoritarian right-wing gobshites. Yeah. Then at very least decriminalise it. The possibility of being sent to prison simply because you don't want a particular entertainment service is wrong, and it can ruin lives. Yeah, but then you don't have BBC, do you? I mean, you don't have to have it. You don't have to have a TV. You don't have to have the BBC. Don't use it then. Yeah, I think you only go to jail if you use it. But no, does anyone ever go to jail for not getting a? Do people actually get put in jail for not having a TV license? That ever happened? I don't know. I know they used to go around with these TV detector vans, which they just looked out the window and looked if you got a TV aerial. A TV detector van, they're going to detect if you're watching the BBC. So, has anyone gone to jail for not having a TV license? Okay, I'm willing to learn. Yes, people can go to... people do go to jail, but never directly for failing to purchase a TV license. Custody only occurs as a last resort if an individual is taken to court for TV license evasion, receives a court-imposed fine, and then deliberately refuses to pay that fine. In England and Wales, you cannot be sent to prison solely for not having a license. The offence is a non-criminal civil debt issue. However, if you ignore the fine and refuse to engage in subsequent enforcement methods, such as bailiffs or deduction form, earnings benefits, then the court can sentence you to custody as a last resort. Okay, but has anyone has anyone gone to jail for this? Oh, I just hate the way AI just doesn't answer your question. Has anyone gone to jail for this? Yes. but they've gone to jail in the past, but it's incredibly rare today and has dropped to 0 instances in recent years. Um, yeah. Um, wow. Between 2011 and 2013, a Freedom of Information request revealed that 107 people were jailed for defaulting on their court-ordered TV licenses. Wow. Following intense public backlash regarding about how these prosecutions disproportionately hit women, the BBC introduced targeted payment plans and free debt advice pilots. So yeah, no, I have to agree. I don't think you should go to jail. I don't think you should go to jail for not having a fucking TV license. Okay, there's no maybe very clear on that, but yeah, apparently that's not happened in recent years. Towards a confetti smile. Oh, thank you very much, Saz. That's very kind of you. That's very kind. Grimfang says Labour frustrates me because while they are more left wing than people think, they have a long record of being socially authoritarian. Yeah, yeah, they do. Let's not forget for 1 second. I'll keep bringing this up. But the first major Labour government, the first proper Labour government where they actually got the teeth into something, was Clement Attlee's government of 1945 to 1951, right? And that government was the government in charge of our country when partition happened, which is supposed to be a 2-year handover of power from the British Empire to the people of India and Pakistan, East Pakistan and West Pakistan at the time, and it was a fucking nightmare. We smudged a 2-year handover into just a couple of months, and it resulted in that there was a British cartographer who went over to India and drew some lines on some maps, and he decided which areas were going to be Pakistani and which areas were going to be Indian based on the religious makeup of these villages. And a lot of these villages were maybe 55% Muslim and 45% Hindu or Sikh or vice versa. And so half these villages were being told to leave and move 1,000 miles away to a place they didn't know, where they didn't know anyone. And 1 million people died under Labour. Under Labour, that famous, wonderful Labour government of the late 40s, the one that brought in the NHS. Yeah, they did that as well. They also oversaw the secret development of the British Trident, not Trident, but the nuclear bomb, which would then develop into Trident as we know it today. Attlee was an imperialist. He wasn't a huge fan of the breakup of the empire. Yeah. And this is, I don't know, maybe it's the Mandela effect, where people assume that Labour are, because they are more socially progressive than the Tories, but that's not saying much. Not saying much at all. I just got a message off Mike saying, "Sorry, Graham, I fell asleep early last night." Oh no, I've just sent him a heart. I thought you were still pissed off about last week. Obviously not. Cheers, Mike, if you're watching. Yeah. Yeah. He's Mike's done a picture of King Charles getting on the phone, telling Infantino from FIFA to get rid of that red card against Kwanzaa, who's the English player who was sent off in the last game, who won't be able to play in the next game. I was threatened with a £1,000 fine if I didn't have my voting registration filled out fully. I spoke to a democracy manager. They never ever heard of anyone being fined once ever in the UK. That is crazy. Attlee's government carried out an illegal depopulation of thousands of Chinese sailors living in Liverpool, London, and Cardiff. Yeah, I'm not being funny. Like, I do think we think that Labour are something that they're not. They're a party of the workers. And you know what? Sometimes the workers decide that they don't want people from other countries coming in, and they support things like Brexit because they're like that they're making the wages go down. Do you know what's making the wages go down? Greed. The fact that your boss, your company, doesn't want to invest in you. They want to invest in yachts and silver and golden teeth and cocaine or whatever rich people do. They don't want to invest in you. TV detector vans hated back-to-back properties. Hard to triangulate the TV signal. Yeah, fucking crazy, isn't it? The Chinese sailor scandal was awful. Yeah. Think about it. Your TV emits a signal that can be detected by a van over the road. That means you cannot use such tech in a military vehicle, and they do. I don't understand. The TV admits a signal that can be detected by a van over the road. That means you cannot use such tech in a military vehicle. I don't understand that. Sorry. Um, Paulie Donkey says, literally, again, as a dirty immigrant, I've experienced so many threats that I knew I found out were 1,000,000% empty. Threats that are empty are bullshit and create unaccountability reactions. Yeah. Well, when I tried to get a carer's allowance when I first came back to the UK after living on the island in Panama, um, I applied and it took them about 9 months to get back to me on it. But when I was doing a telephone interview, it sounded like a young lad that I was talking to, and I was asking why it's taking so long. And this was carer's allowance. I think it was like at the time it was like £47 a week. £47 a week. You know, I get more than that in super chats, and they said the guy on the phone I was talking to said, "Oh, it's because of all these immigrants coming over." This is someone working for, I don't know, the DWP or whatever the fuck it was I was talking to, telling someone on the phone. I said, "What? What are you talking about? Just what? How dare you? How dare you say that? It's not people coming from other countries." And I had to put in right. I said, "Listen, if it's people coming from European countries, if they're on the dole, that dole is paid by their government. If we're in another country and they get dole, well, it's paid by our government. That's the deal in the EU, as we were in the EU at the time." But if I have someone who's an official, representative of the UK government on the phone to me saying the reason why it's taken so long for us to come to a decision on your pittance of a fucking carer's allowance, which wouldn't buy a fucking half a Mars bar these days, saying, "Oh, it's because of all the foreigners, it's because of all the immigrants." What the fuck? Yes, I did put in a complaint. Capital were found to have failed on multiple occasions to fulfil their mandate under the Tories. They were given even more contracts and more money. TV detector vans were more about installing fear in the population because the population didn't understand how TVs actually work. It means the TV detector van is a scam. Yes. I think they just turned up in a van and they looked to see if you got an aerial on top of your telly and went, "Oh, on top of your telly, on top of the house." And then, I don't know, looked in through the windows, see if you were watching it. Those Chinese sailors kept the Atlantic convoys going in World War II, and that's how Attlee thanked them. Yeah, yeah. I think we need another term like the Mandela effect, but it's where it's not a collective thing that people think happened but didn't happen. That isn't necessarily living memory, but it's something that we think historically something happened or something was a particular way, but it actually wasn't when you drill down into it. So maybe we call it the Attlee effect. And people go, "Oh, Attlee, oh, he's a wonderful guy. He brought in the NHS." Yes, he did. But this is the thing. I do feel like when we appraise people, whether they are historical characters or whether they're people around now, we do have to be sensible about it. We do have to go, yeah, they did some good and they did some bad, and give some weight to both of those sides of someone. I don't believe that anyone out there is entirely bad. I really don't. Not even Trump, because he's stopped 800 fucking million barrels of oil being burnt this year. Well done, Trump, you dickhead. Didn't mean to do that. But the closest thing we have to Satan on this planet is Donald Trump. But he's done some good things. Inadvertently, he's done some good things. He's certainly got the left together in America, and it looks like the next generation of Democrat politicians are going to be much more socialist, much more lefty, much more socially progressive, and pushing for people's rights than they have been for years. I mean, the Democrats just been treading water by the looks of things for a very, very long time. So my New England shirt has been washed and is full of red dots, stroke stains that won't wash out even with Vanish Stain Remover. Never had this happen before. Anyone, any advice? Don't want to bin it. Oh no, I'm sorry about that. It's brand new and 80 quid. Liam, take it back. Take it back and say it's a fucking structural defect. It's easy to forget that. George Orwell, Eric Blair actually worked for the military intelligence to help shape British minds before he was a professional writer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't forget, 1984. I mean, it's a screed against communism. It is. So it's, Animal Farm. Screed against communism. Anyway, but yeah, isn't it funny how the way the world's gone though, that America's more like 1984 than Soviet Russia was. Don't believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. It's fake news. It's AI. Never trust anyone who does watercolors. What about Bob Ross? What about I trust Bob Ross. Um, the left isn't as consolidated as it needs to be here, says Josh Sees. Well, Josh, I'm really, I live in hope. I'm a hopeful chap, and I try and be a little bit happy-go-lucky about things that are going on in the world and not let it get on top of me too much. I'm hoping that Andy Burnham will bring people from other parties, and maybe even into government. He could see it. I wouldn't mind having some junior ministers, or even as secretaries of state, who are from the Lib Dems or the Greens. Why not? Why not get a Green? Get one of the 5 Greens in Parliament. I get Hannah Spencer and get her and make her the junior Green Environment Minister. Just do it. It's like, okay, bring you on board. What do you want us to do? We want you to not build any more wind turbines. What? We want to not build any more railways. Okay. Can you go out on the news and say that, please? They never caught Bob Ross, same as Noel Edmonds. What did he feed Mr. Blobby? Oh, Mr. Blobby ate the severed hearts, didn't he, of children? Which did actually, if he ate the fat of an unbaptized child, he would gain the gift of flight, wouldn't he, Mr. Blobby? Nothing more terrifying than a flying blobby outside your bedroom window at 4 a.m. AI says red spots equals rust, melted laundry pod or mold. Don't use bleach. Try vinegar or lemon juice or salt soak instead. Wash cold inside out. No fabric softener. Air dry to save the vinyl print. And he says, to be fair, 94 was not about a specific ideology, but about authoritarian control, which could be fascist or communist. Yeah. True. That is very true, because they talk about the horseshoe politics. I always thought that it's not a spectrum; it's a wheel. It's a wheel. Once you've got sort of authoritarian regimes at one end of it, and they go out, and then the absolute opposite of the political spectrum is conservatism and being liberal, not a libertarian, because that's something different. But being socially liberal, being economically, being socially conscious, I guess. And then I think you could separate it by saying there is a tilt on the right, if you imagine it like a circle. So you got fascism down here, communism, fascism, totalitarianism, authoritarianism down here, and it goes out and it comes back at the top. That's your middle of the road stuff at the top. Your middle ground politics that people hate, centralist fucking arseholes. But then here you have the most pronounced difference, which I think boils down to individualism, which is practiced on the right all the time. It's all about me. It's all the selfishness. And the other side is more about society and building communities and not being a selfish arsehole and thinking about your effect on society and other people and, trying to do good things, I guess. Just in a very sort of basic way of looking at things. But yeah, and the accumulation of wealth just seems to be right down at the bottom, at the fash end of things, because it's all very, very well these countries around the world that have tried the communist experience, the communist experiment, but it's nearly always resulted in the people in charge being fabulously rich and everyone else having fuck all. Which is exactly where you end up with capitalism if you let it run fucking rampant. There's a political compass with 2 axes, like the D&D alignment charts, left, right, and authoritarian freedom. Yeah. I suppose like the libertarians will say that they're all for freedom, but it's individualistic freedom without consequence. That's why I wouldn't necessarily talk about freedom in that respect, because you could argue that people who I would say were on the left, who were very progressive and believe in society and believe in community, aren't particularly freedom loving in the same way that they think that rich people should be allowed to get away with murder. But then you got libertarians who claim that they love freedom more than anything. Who, that's their mantra, isn't it? It's freedom. Anyway, so we've got some more stories coming in. We've got Russia hitting Kyiv before this NATO summit that starts this week. Ukrainian authorities have said that at least 14 people have been killed and 117 have been injured. Residential buildings were heavily damaged, and the attack shortly after 1 a.m. local time and lasted for hours. Ukraine said Russia used 68 missiles and 351 drones. Ukrainian air defense has shot down or neutralized 37 missiles and 326 drones, so some of them still got through. None of the ballistic, super, or hypersonic missiles were intercepted. And Ukraine says it's short of Patriot interceptors, which are needed against these ballistic missiles. And this was the second major attack on Kyiv in less than a week. And it becomes just before this NATO summit this week. Meanwhile, the Trump is due in Turkey for this NATO summit. Or Turkey, sorry, it's Turkey now, isn't it? He's expected to meet Volodymyr Zelensky, who's going to be there. He's also expected to meet Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey. He'll also meet the president of Syria, the new Syrian president, who until fairly recently, Ahmed al-Sharaa, he was a terrorist. He was on the terrorist list, and he's not a terrorist anymore because he's a world leader, apparently. So yeah, the Ukraine meeting is being framed as a part of a new push to end the war. And the timing matters because Russia just carried out this major attack on Kyiv, and the Syria meeting is going to be the first time, I think, that al-Sharaa, the leader of Syria, is being treated as a direct diplomatic counterpart by Washington, which hasn't happened before. The millions have joined funeral events, as I've mentioned over the weekend, for Ali Khamenei, the Ayatollah who was killed by the American forces on the 28th of February this year. And 3 of his sons appeared at the funeral, Mustafa, Maysam, and Masood. However, Mojtaba Khomeini, he did not appear publicly. He is the successor, and he was not there. And people are talking about whether he was injured in the strike that took out his father. But the funeral events are going to be going on all week, apparently. So we might circle back to that if anything else happens, or if the heir apparent, well, the now new supreme leader of Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, if he becomes, if anyone sees him in public. Blue Badger, Graham, I think Ukraine have a proof of concept in the working home-made air defense system. They knocked down about half the ballistics a few days ago. It's just being tested before production now. Yeah. Pete Dencat says, don't worry, gang, we've entered the age of Aquarius where the earth is governed by love and light. Everything will be fine. The thing is this, right? People often say that all wars are created by religion. And I take issue with that. Not because I'm religious or have any particular affinity towards religion, but it doesn't. It's oil or resources. I think resources is nearly always the reason why wars happen. You look at somewhere like Rwanda, where they had the civil war. That was a tribal war, wasn't religious. It was a tribal war. You look at what's happened in the Middle East since forever. It's it's either about oil, all about oil, or in the case of Israel, you could say, yeah, that was definitely about religion. But I'm not, not all of the wars that we've seen. I don't believe the war in Iran was about religion. I don't think the war in Afghanistan was necessarily about religion. And there was a slight factor of it because obviously they were tied in with the Saudis, Saudi jihadists like Osama bin Laden. But the war between Bolivia and Paraguay in the 1930s was about oil. You could make an argument that World War I started because there were the European powers at the time when oil was becoming this massive thing that everyone wanted a bigger footprint in Iraq, in what's now Iraq. And you saw that in World War II as well. What did Hitler want? He wanted more resources. It wasn't about living space. He wanted resources. That's why he had his men out running around the fucking desert in North Africa. He had running around the Middle East. He wanted resources. He wanted oil. So this idea that, all these wars it's kind of like a lazy thing people say. They also say that, the history is written by the victors. I hate that. No, it's just, as someone who studies history, not everything that you read that happened in the past is written by the people who won. Sometimes you read stuff written by the people who lost. Sometimes you read stuff that was written by people who didn't have any skin in the game, and read all the different accounts of that incident happening, and they'll all give slightly different accounts because human memory is not that great, and Chinese whispers and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like when in everyday life, three people see the same car crash, and describe it to the police in three different ways. I mean, what do you expect for a historical event? So yeah, I do feel like there is a tendency to sort of want to put everything into a box, especially if you have a vested interest, because maybe you're formerly religious or something, and you want to make religion sound like a really terrible thing. You go, well, all wars were started by religion, but the reality is a lot of wars were just started over fucking resources. The genocide against the First Nations of America, or the Aboriginals of Australia, that was carried out because of resources. The British wanted resources. The French wanted resources. The Spanish wanted resources. The Spanish Incan War was because they wanted to convert everyone to Catholicism. They didn't give a fuck about that. They just wanted the gold. They just wanted the resources. Oil, profits, religion, even way back, it was the same. Land, resources, beliefs. War never changes, and that's not mentioning the politics. Yeah. Idiot to the prime cause of conflicts. I think you're missing a word there, War and Peace. I think greedy idiots, essentially, who can't be bothered building something themselves, so they go out to someone else's country to steal what they've got. Zaire's wars, then DRC, and all their wars were based on resources and minerals. Yeah. Two things that seem to cause wars: greed and pride. Once they're unleashed, there's only defending yourselves. Yeah. War arises from complex power struggles, territorial disputes, and shifting global alliances. It's driven by competition over resources and the erosion of international peace norms. Yeah. Not believing trans exists, even if you've seen it with your own eyes. Yes, you believe a man on the cloud you've never seen. Well, yeah, good point, Al. People believe what they want to believe, right? But yeah, let's talk about this. Talking about war, talking about the Chinese missile test in the Pacific. So they testified a missile from a nuclear-powered submarine into the Pacific Ocean. The Chinese said that it carried a dummy warhead. It was launched at 12:01 p.m. Beijing time, middle of the day. Australia, Japan, and New Zealand have raised concerns about this. Australia and Japan had said they've been notified before the launch that it was going to happen. And the test came just hours after Australia and Fiji signed a defense alliance. So essentially the read on this is that China is signaling military reach into the Pacific at the same moment that Australia is trying to strengthen regional defense ties. And it's one of the reasons why I think we should expand NATO. I really do feel like we should be expanding NATO to include Australia and Fiji and Tuvalu and Vanuatu and Kiribati and the Marshall Islands and Nauru and the Federated States of Micronesia and New Zealand, and just get them all on board. Papua New Guinea, get them all on board. And Japan, obviously. Only working together as one race can war become a thing of history. I mean, I think that what I'm hopeful of is that in my lifetime, I don't know how long I've got left, but in my lifetime, I'm hoping that we're going to stop drilling for oil so much. I mean, we'll still need plastics and things, but we won't be digging it up to burn it. And most of our energy, 99% of our energy, is going to be produced by renewables or some kind of green method of making electricity. And I'm hoping that when we stop fighting over oil, I mean, what resources are going to be fighting over afterwards? I mean, there's little point. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we need, we can recycle it. Yeah, all that aluminium. We don't need to get fresh bauxite from West Africa to make aluminium. We've got fuck tons of aluminium here in this country. Let's melt the fucker down and make something new out of it. Recycling is huge. Is Article 5 of NATO already covered in some kind of joint defense agreement in the South Pacific? I'm not sure. Poor donkey. People are willing to die in a war to save their homes and families also. That is true. People are willing to die in the war if they think they get another go. It's not bloody Mario. You don't get another go. Well, yeah, I think telling people they're going to survive their own death sometimes isn't very helpful. Especially if they go to a special VIP section of heaven if they die in a particularly spectacular way, like Samson, the very first suicide bomber. The berserkers of the Nordic tribes. Yeah, not great. Not great. People always fight over something, even hats in Fortnite. Yeah, but I mean, I think that this is why sport is so important as a way of having competition between different countries, different cities, different areas of the same city. I think it's an important way of for men who are simple creatures to let off a bit of pressure, to let off a little bit of steam without it falling into actual bloody war. Give them an excuse to be a bit tribal, but in a safe and contained way. Let them paint their faces and fly their standards and go on about how great their country is. Fine. And we have these sort of proxy wars. It's a bad way of expressing it, isn't it? Not a proxy war, but like a phony war. Every time we play golf or cricket or tennis or whatever, we have a champion that comes, our Achilles comes forward, and our Hector who comes forward and says, "Yeah, I'm going to represent this entirety of this battle, so no one else has to die." Yeah, I think that's a cunning and ingenious way of trying to keep that underlying human desire to go to fucking war. I mean, Jesus Christ, to keep it contained, keep it safely contained, like a ghost trap out of Ghostbusters. But yeah, it's hypothesized cruelty is something that often occurs in highly intelligent species that are also predators. Chimps, bottlenose dolphins, and orcas also exhibit cruelty and war with others. Yes, they do. But bonobos don't. They just fuck all the time. Although there is a lot of incest that goes on, so it's not great. It's coming home, says Paulie Donkey. Competitive sport is war without the guns, says George Orwell. Yeah. And it's look again. We talked about the snooker earlier. I do have to appreciate that I can't demand that everyone likes the same stuff. We all like different things. And although I don't find Anchorman funny, I know so many of my friends think it's the funniest movie of all time. I just don't get it. That's fine. I don't think it shouldn't exist. I don't think that Will Ferrell should be thrown in jail for not making me laugh. And yeah, with sports, it's like that, isn't it? I mean, most people find a sport that they really, really get into, and then they go on, but all the rest is shit. That's a bit unfair. I think all sports have their merits, no matter how batshit bananas. I mean, in Afghanistan, they play a game. It's a bit like polo, on the horses, but instead of having a mallet and a ball to hit, they have a dead goat, and they throw the dead goat around. And that's the game. Each to their own. Wonder if cruelty is the flip side of empathy. I don't know, Andy. I don't know. I feel like when people feel like they've been wronged, someone said something to upset them, someone's pointed something out that they feel insecure about, I think there's a very human reaction to that, is to be cruel in return and say, well, you do this, or punch back, or try and inflict some pain and suffering on the person who's just inflicted pain and suffering on you. And I think as humans, that is unfortunately part of the human condition, and something that we should try our very best to just take a breath, take a step back, and go, no, I'm not going to rise to this. And I think that's a lot more of a difficult position to take a lot of the times, because if someone's upset you, I mean, it seems natural for me to go, you know, motherfucker, you did this, someone brings up something terrible that you did, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, but you a week before that you did, it's why a lot of couples break down, isn't it? Because they end up just sniping at each other all the time. Let's try not to do that. Anyway, if we get another 2 super chats in, we will release the confetti cannon. But before that, we're going to just mention about the UK tightening the overseas linked political donation rules. So this should be interesting. So the tightening rules on political donations linked to overseas money. Candidates will have to declare donations over £2,230 received before they formally become candidates. They also will have to prove pre-candidacy funding came from legitimate sources, maybe not from, following some criminals like Posh George. People moving to the UK from overseas will have to live permanently in the UK for a year before donating £100,000 or more. I mean, I honestly, I don't think anyone should be able to donate that much to a political party in this country. I think it should be capped at like 50 quid. I'm not being funny. And if Labour want to really kipper the kippers, the UKippers, all they need to do is say it's got to be capped at 50 quid. That's it. Tough. Because I don't want to go down that same route that America has, where basically the rich people, the moneyed elites have all the money, Sorry, all the power. They've got the money to start with, but they also got all the power, haven't they? So yeah, the new rules build on earlier measures capping donations by overseas Britons and pausing crypto donations. This is meant to stop shell companies or weakly connected firms from being used to funnel money into politics. Company donations will from now on be judged against post-tax profits rather than revenue. And the government has the government review has identified risks from foreign interference, including from Russia, no surprise there, China and Iran. And so this is a legislative change that hopefully could spell the death knell. I've got a problem with the TV. It's just not connecting to the internet very well. Hopefully it will sound the death knell of the refuck party, because if they can't get the money in, they're not going to do it, because Nigel Farage is in it for the money. Chrissy, breaking news. Victims of rape and sexual assault across England and Wales who had their cases dropped will have the right to ask for a review before final decision is made. Excellent. Okay, good. I'm glad they get asked for a review from now on. I'm very sad that the cases got dropped, though. I hear Budweiser is a new sponsor of Goat Ball Stick. Liam says, I'm firmly on the side that violence is sometimes needed. Can't be a pacifist against fascism. Yeah. I don't disagree with that, Liam. I understand, and you can argue certainly that. Sorry about this. We've got some problem with the telly box. You can argue that the Second World War in particular was a fight against fascism, whereas the First World War, I don't know what the fuck that was a fight against. Some other grandson of Queen Victoria. You got the wrong grandson. This morning I was reviewing the new election financing guidance. It's pretty significant, and there's not a lot of loopholes. That's good. That is good. But I think it should be less. I think that the amount that you can give shouldn't be 100,000. That's a ridiculous sum of money. Meanwhile, I know we were talking about the BBC earlier, but there is Sky has agreed to buy ITV's broadcasting and streaming business for up to £1.6 billion. The deal includes ITV's free-to-air channels and ITVX. ITV Studios is not part of the sale. ITV will remain as a production business, making programs for the new Sky ITV structure and other buyers. Sky will pay £1.2 billion in cash, with a possible extra £200 million linked to advertising performance. ITV plans to return $950 million to shareholders and put $65 million into its pension scheme. Can you believe that? It's returning nearly £1 billion to shareholders Meanwhile, it's putting like 65 million into the pension scheme for the people who actually work for the. Sky is committed to a long-term content supply deal worth 2.1 billion from 2028 to 2032. The deal will face regulatory scrutiny, and the main issue here for the regulators is going to be market concentration, advertising power, public service broadcasting, and jobs. And this is, you could argue that it's a traditional broadcaster, as traditional as Sky is. I mean, it only became a thing in the 80s, but it's a traditional broadcaster trying to bulk up against the streaming networks like Netflix and Amazon, Disney, YouTube, etc. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. How do you feel about it? World War One was a family argument that got seriously out of hand. And the main people involved in it were all grandchildren of Queen Victoria. I do apologise for being so pedantic, but I really dislike absolutist statements, as they too often aren't entirely correct. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing absolute in life. They just aren't. People fuck up. People make mistakes. People say the wrong thing. People try, they mean well, but they wake up one day in a bad mood. And yeah, I feel like we are, especially on the left, I do think that we have to be a little bit, well, we should be. We should be a little less absolutist in our treatment of politicians and stuff. There's loads of people who like mad Labour lot who'll go on about Zach Polanski's making women's boobs bigger. I couldn't give a shit. That's pulling out a daft story from 15 years ago. Who gives a fuck right now? Right now, Zach Polanski's doing well, and he's dragging the Overton window to the left. Good luck to him. If the purity tests on the left are they're manna from heaven for the right, because they don't have them. Nigel Farage took 5 million from a crypto fascist in Thailand who launders money for the Russians. He took millions from Posh George Cottrell, who got put away, not for fraud, friends, not for fraud in America. He didn't get put away for fraud. He got put away for not only trying to, launder money for who he thought were drug dealers, but also he's planning to steal the money off them. Trying to steal the money off drug dealers. I mean, fucking hell. Sky 2 owns too much of our media. Sky getting their greasy mitts on ITV will mean ITN will be an arm of the Tory party. Arguably, yeah. Even if fewer cylinders, you're probably firing more than most. This is Chris. I'm not firing all cylinders this morning. I'm very tired. I don't know if you noticed. The most surprising thing is that for less than 20 million, you can create a seemingly unwinnable movement and party. But is it viable actually? Just compare with the US, $1 billion is table stakes. Yeah, Paulie Donkey. I mean, I agree. Sorry about my TV. It's saying I've got an error code here. What is going on? See if we can get this up. It might just be the news. There you go. BBC 4 seems to be working. BBC News has gone down. Maybe it's a bit big on BBC Parliament so we can see what's happening in Parliament right now. Does anyone care? Does anyone care what's happening in Parliament? I don't know. To be fair, I'm not slept myself. Lol, the England match was just that stressful. It is just news. Everything else seems to be working. Okay, I'll go to the Parliament channel. Here I go to that channel, Parliament channel. Lord's questions. Okay. Jump on that. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the planet, in the Philippines, Sara Duterte is facing an impeachment trial. She's the vice president. It could affect whether she can run for president in 2028. Allegations include misuse of public funds, unexplained wealth, and threats against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his wife. So there are two families that basically run the Philippines. There is the Marcoses, who are Imelda Marcos famously had all the hair. Yeah. So her son, her husband was Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Their son, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., is now the president of the country. And Robert Duterte, who was the president of the country until fairly recently, is now in the dock in The Hague for war crimes. His daughter, Sarah, is the vice president because of the system they've got set up there, which I think was set up by the Americans. Because, believe it or not, back in the day, when the American president was elected, they would have the vice president would be from the opposing party, which didn't really give much of an incentive not to assassinate the president. So your man could take over. Graham says they steal drug dealers' money. I'm assuming they take the drugs too. Yeah, I mean, did anyone see that really sniffy interview? The really sniffy interview that Tommy Ten Names gave. My half sister is Filipino, lives in Reading now. Oh, nice. Philippines is a beautiful fucking country. It's a great country. It's just these mob bosses, the Dutertes and the Marcoses have run the place since forever. So hours before proceedings, Duterte ally Senator Rodante Marcoleta was arrested on a plunder charge. I love this. Arrested on a plunder charge. So Marcoleta is accused of accepting 75 million pesos, around $1.2 million, in illegal donations during his 2025 Senate campaign. And yeah, it's all kicking off. It's all kicking off, and yeah, there's a lot at stake. But I really wish that I told you this story before, but I was once on a boat, and there was a guy on that was chatting with the first mate. He was Filipino, and he says to me, "I wish the British had colonized us." I was like, "What? Why would you say that?" And he said, "Well, we were colonized by the Spanish." And then the Americans. The Spanish gave us Catholicism, and the Americans just gave us weapons, and then they fucked off, and they've left the place a right fucking mess. And I was like, yeah, okay, but can we dial back on that whole? I wish we'd been, I guess that the argument is if we were going to be colonized by anyone, I wish it wasn't the Spanish and the Americans. But let's not say that you wanted the British there because they did some really fucked up shit around the world, mate. You don't really want that on your soil. But one thing that the British Empire did better than other empires was they tended to let people keep their own religion. I know there was a push. There was, Puritans from Britain, missionaries from Britain, just as much as anywhere else. But it was more softly than, say, the French, who would go around the world turning people into French people. They would have to learn French. They'd have to destroy their local language, and they would convert them by the sword to Catholicism. They'll turn up and say, "Are you a Christian?" And they'll go, "No." And they go, put the sword in them, and then the next person in the line, "Are you a Christian?" Yeah, whatever that thing is you just said. Yeah, I'm definitely one of them. Please don't stab me. But yeah, 5% of GDP is actually 20% of discretionary tax spending. We aren't buying American. For fuck's sake, the US has told Starmer that his defence budget proposals are not enough, and they want to see the UK promise to spend 5% of GDP on defence. America needs to FTHO. Is that fuck the hell off? Can we simply say fuck the fuck off? Fuck around, find out. Anyway, should we have a look at the newspapers before I go? I'm wrapping up. I'm going to wrap up in a little bit. So if you do want to drop another couple of super chats in before we go, we will get the confetti cannon out today, which will be nice. But in the meantime, here we go. We got the papers here. We've got the Daily Mail. First of all, let's have a look. We've got England versus Mexico. Expert analysis. Well, we don't need that now because it's already taken place. Like this is why newspapers are daft. They come out like afterwards. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, great. Okay. Bit late now. That's all I'm saying. Bit late now. Oh God, sorry. I just wanted to move that so the margin at the top and bottom were the same size. That's better. NHS treats dementia patients as second-class citizens. Fury of Alzheimer's Society boss who says families are sent home with just a leaflet. I couldn't agree more. I can't believe I'm agreeing with the Daily Mail, but I'm not. I'm agreeing with the boss of the Alzheimer's Society, Michelle Dyson, who has said this. I think she's absolutely 100% right. Adele has made a rare appearance at Silverstone. I don't care. But that's nice. She's famous, so we have to know what she's up to. We've got the mirror here. The three lines sleep tonight. No, no sleep tonight. I think should have been the title there, but never mind. Yet more questions. Farage and the cons cash. New allegation increases pressure on Reform chief. Nigel Farage could face an ethics quiz on claims he failed to declare help from a convicted crook. George Cottrell there, absolute gobshite. Let's move on to the Times inside Taylor Swift's Uber wedding. I had a baby at 46, 49 is too old, says some woman. Okay. Want an eco-friendly home, it'll take 25 years to cover the cost. Oh, fuck off. Why doesn't no one ever talk about making the money back on a boiler? We talk about making your money back on solar panels or on your electric car. You got to make your money back. You got to make your money back on the petrol that you save. Fucking fed up of hearing it, mate. Fed up of hearing it. It's bullshit. Oh yeah. So yeah, the Times here just talking Murdoch bullshit. But there you go. A PM facing NATO rebuke from Trump at summit. Starmer to be sidelined after defence funding row. Get to fuck. The Princess of Wales and their family there, just in case you forgot what they look like. And England's bunk off after staying up for cup. Okay, and then this guy here on the right, he looks a bit too cheerful, doesn't he? Something going on there. Anyway, next up we've got the Financial Times, the FTSE. We've got FCA warns of arms race as AI spreads in financial sector. Regulators battling to keep pace. Benefits and risks from widening use. We've also got a story about EasyJet agreeing to £5.5 billion US takeover of Sperling Castle Lakes area for offers. We also have Musk crosses new frontier with Starbase Enterprise. Jesus, what the fuck is this about? Let's read this. For a few places in America better capture the priorities of Donald Trump's second term with his mix of big tech power, geographical ambition, and fortress mentality than Starbase, Elon Musk's SpaceX headquarters on the Texas coast. 15 years ago, Boca Chica was a quiet beach town. Now it is a hive of construction activity. Original inhabitants can spot a SpaceXer from miles away. They're kind of alpha male, says one long-time resident. I really don't think they are. But there you go. Briefing here. In brief, I can just about read this. It's very low res. MP's watchdog urged to investigate Farage benefits. Absolutely. Iran war not worth cost. Most American voters say Donald Trump's war has not been worth the cost. Do you know what is absolutely worth it? Super chats, they're totally worth it. US banks profit in China. The China securities units of Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and JP Morgan posted record net profits last year. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad someone's having a nice end of the world. Exit call at Bailey Gifford. The Tim Campbell, the chief of the big UK asset manager, has told staff that they have the option to exit the firm as it seeks to refocus the business on faster growing parts of the market, probably AI. Buyout firms repelled. Big shareholders are opposed. A £5.7 billion takeover of DCC by Energy Capital Partners. I don't know what that's about. Octopus faces power test. Staff at Britain's largest household energy supplier are gearing up to push for union recognition, posing a challenge to the tech-savvy company's approach to worker rights after its rapid rise. Arnott's €22 million euro tax bill. France has ordered Bernard Arnault to pay 22.5 million euros of back taxes after a legal battle cash from a Belgian holding company that held shares related to luxury giant LVMH. I think that's what it says. I can't really read it very well because it's very, very small. And Farage, this is a hit job. I've done nothing wrong. He's done nothing wrong. It's a hit job. Robert Jenrick was being interviewed yesterday, and he kept on saying things like, "No, this happened a long time ago, and they're only bringing it up, and this is political, and it's the Labour newspapers bringing it up, and here's the express. It was a hit job. It's a hit job. No, mate. You took money from a criminal that you shouldn't have done. You didn't declare it. That you should have done. because you think you're above the law because you were born rich. Anyway, Martin, thank you very much to ease the guilt trip. Oh, thanks, Martin. Yeah. I mean, maybe I should go to. Thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. Maybe I should go to a license fee model. So if I don't get the sufficient amount of super chats for each show, I can imprison you and your family. No, I'm joking. Not going to do that. So yeah, a hit job apparently. A hit job. Hello, Benjamin. Morning. Weight loss pills from chemists, but not on the NHS till 2028. Game-changing slimming tablets set to transform healthcare. This is equivalent to Majuro, but you don't have to inject it. You take it as a pill, which is fantastic. And I hope this helps people's health, because not only is the weight loss jabs like Majuro and others have brought people's weight down across the board. Like they've been incredibly successful. There's a few nightmare stories out there, but generally speaking, they've done very well as a new breakthrough medicine. They're also bringing down the amount of illnesses in the NHS that we're having to treat, because 50% of the stuff we have to treat in the NHS is caused by lifestyle factors. And I think it's really horrible the way there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, you should just have willpower. It's very easy to say when you've got a very fast metabolism. You can eat as many cakes as you like and you never get fat. It's very easy to say that. It's very easy for me to say, oh, you just need willpower to overcome your alcoholism, because I can moderate my alcohol intake. I can go for months and months and months without having any alcohol. I've never had a craving for alcohol in my life. I've never had a craving for alcohol. Right? I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to say I should not be someone who says, "Oh, you just need willpower and then you can overcome alcoholism." I'm savvy enough to know that it's not that simple. And if you have that craving, I've never done drugs. I've never been addicted to drugs. I don't have the craving for that. I've never smoked cigarettes. I don't have the craving for that. But I understand that people do. And to say what you need is willpower when it's actually physically painful to not eat. It's physically painful to give up the ciggies or the smack. Then I completely understand why people find it so difficult. And it's not for me to stand on my fucking, high horse on the top of my ivory tower and cast aspersions on people to say, oh, they need to, pull themselves up by the bootstraps and lose some weight. It's not that easy. I know it's not that easy. And not going to lie, it looks like Reform chaps are looking to throw Nigel under the bus. I really, really fucking hope. There's a story there on the newspaper. Farage faces another sleaze investigation. So yeah, there you go. The common recycling area is costing you money. What? Costing me money? What? Moving on. We've got the Metro here, the stellar cast of Odyssey Voyage to Our Shores. We've also got crackdown on party donors amid row over Posh George. Crypto pal convicted of fraud paid for staff. It's all perfectly legitimate, says Farage allies. Yeah, if you say so. Ben, I'm just wrapping up, mate. I'll just be a couple of minutes, and then I'll make some breakfast. Okay, so I've got to go make some breakfast for Ben. Otherwise, he'll be funny. I think we're out of coffee, mate. Do you like tea? I've got some tea out. I got some tea out for you. Kev, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Late today, finally caught up. Fire the cannon. Your wish is my command. 3, 2, 1. Confetti! Woo! Yes, we made it. We made it. We got there in the end. Fantastic. Thanks everyone for the super chats. I think I've got 18 quid. 18 quid. Hurrah! That's very good. Right. Back to the normal chat. Okay, so Guardian. We're on the Guardian paper here. I was there. I was really there. 15 legendary gigs. All my childhood, I had to be perfect. Some Stranger Things, Wolf Finhard. We've got crackdown on donations as Farage faces new gift row. Hurrah. Expert tells of regret at autism male brain label. The scientist who pioneered the extreme male brain theory of autism says he regrets characterizing the condition in this way because the phrase lends itself to misunderstanding. Yes, it does. And it also it essentially says that women can't be autistic, which they absolutely fucking can. So yeah, not helpful, mate. Not helpful. But thank you for apologizing. A few years too late. AI project failing on renewables promise. Well, what a surprise. That's a huge AI data center will struggle to power itself as originally promised. McCarthy's unique wedding to gift to Swift. He played I Want to Hold Your Hand live for the first time in 60 years. That's quite impressive. They did that for Taylor Swift's wedding. The good mates, Taylor Swift and Paul McCartney. Osaka beats number 1 seed Sabalenka in true style. So that's cool in Wimbledon. If you're into Wimbledon, I think that's cool. And then we've got the Hangover of God on the Daily Star here. Three Lions fans up all night in Maradona Stadium clash. England fans are waking to the ultimate hangover today after the Three Lions World Cup match in Mexico. So we don't know how it's going to end up because we printed this before the match. But yeah, England won. I think most people just stayed up all night, didn't they? We've got the comic that is the Daily Telegraph here. Trump threatens NATO over defence. Go fuck yourself, Trump. Tories offer PM solution to deport Rochdale ringleader. Okay, police must stop engaging in woke culture wars, says report, probably from the Telegraph. Russian hackers steal government logins. Drinkers misled by UK-made foreign beer. US investment. Is that where we just buy up Scottish Courage and we just rebrand it's the same lager, but we write Foster's on it. It's been going on for decades. US investment firm to buy EasyJet for $5.2 billion. Oh, fucking that's going to go down the pan, isn't it? Trump thanks FIFA for lifting US strikers ban. Fucking absolute bloody con artists. Talking of con artists, it's Nigel Farage. He's a gobshite. He's a gobshite. Oh, I don't want it. I want it that way around. There you go. Nigel Farage. We'll just set that up so you don't have to look at his ugly fucking face. Farage's future thrown into doubt. Speculation growing over whether the refuck leader could quit amid calls for investigation over claims he failed to declare benefits. And meanwhile, inside Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding of the decade, guests dress and McCartney song. So there you go, the wedding of the decade that no one has any pictures from. So who knows what happened there? Who knows? The shadow knows, but nobody else knows. Nobody knows. I'm just getting rid of foggy face. Also, why the British taxpayers footing the $365 million pound refurbishment for Buckingham Palace when the King won't not be living there, and don't tell me it'll be recouped from tourism. I'm glad the King isn't living there, Chris. Sorry to take the alternative take on this, but I don't want him living there. He's spending that much on his fucking house. Fuck that shit. He shouldn't be able to live there. It's fine. Use it for state occasions. And if we're going to spend that much money on a prestige building, yeah, that's fine with me. I think we should preserve the past. I think we should preserve the beautiful buildings that we built in the past, because God knows we don't build any beautiful shit now. Nothing's going to be preserved in the future. You know, this is why they scramble to preserve these ugly fucking concrete buildings from the 60s. You know, because they're like, oh my God, otherwise they're going to knock them down. Yeah, they will knock them down. I think humans will knock them down in the future because they look like shit. But now, we don't even build that out of concrete. It's all built out of corrugated fucking cardboard by the looks of things. It's all boxes. Everything's a box. Here you go, the new building. Is it a box? Yeah, it's a box. The civil list needs ending. Charlie Boy has enough land to sell to live on. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there's an argument to be made there, certainly for the way that the monarchy is funded, but they want a yeast. I mean, imagine, like, think of it the other way around. If they said, we are going to spend this money on refurbishing Buckingham Palace, but only if it's given over to tourism and Charlie Boy isn't allowed to fucking live there. All royalists would be up in arms, wouldn't they? This is the same thing. Same thing. He doesn't want to live there. The Queen didn't even like Buckingham Palace. She only went when she had to. She liked it up in Balmoral, away from the far from the madding crowd and us plebs. L says a call to all LGBT plus allies. There is a new Good Law Project petition. It's pinned below. It's to send a message to the government on the anti-LGBT plus guidance coming. Please sign and share. Please, absolutely do. Couldn't agree more. So I'll be back tonight at 9:00 for the famous what's it called? The show that we do. Me and Scott Williams will be doing Stateside tonight, talking about Trump's latest bullshit. And the Friday the 13th, 4th of July celebrations that were absolutely pissing abominable. Like, I mean, just beyond measure shite. And the fireworks went up and they created too much smoke and you couldn't see the fucking fireworks. Everything about it was shite. Trump's speech was delayed. Places were evacuated because of the rain. It was just shite alike. Everything about it was shite. And we'll be talking about that tonight on Stateside at 9 o'clock. So please join us for that. I might do some writing this afternoon. Might do a little bit of writing if I don't have a sleep. So join me for Graham Hughes Right Some Wrongs. We need to get back into that. We need to finish chapter 10. So if you'd like to join me for that, that'll be from 1 o'clock, I think, from today or sometime. Please do us a favour. Give us a like before you go. Give us a like. Hit the bell notification icon and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the bell notification icon. And if I don't see you at some point today, I'll see you hopefully tomorrow morning for another morning brew, bright and early, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And until then, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. You are freaking awesome. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.